Hi everyone, this is how to graph piecewise defined functions that involve three pieces. For example, here we have three pieces, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to find the domain, locate intercepts, find the range based on the graph, and then also find this. So the graphing is actually number 1, but also find this information. So basically, what I want to do first is find the domain. You can also look at the graph and find the domain, but if you're looking at the domain, when you're looking at this, this is your y portion. This is your x portion. So the domain, we're starting at -2, and then we go all the way greater than 0 to infinity. So you can write the domain as -2 to infinity, like that, or you can write it as, you know, in set notation. This is interval notation, and x is in between, including -2 to infinity. Okay, so either way is fine, depending on your teachers. So the first thing we want to do is graph these, and let's look at this too. We're looking for f of -1. We have to find which piece does -1 fit into. Well, it fits into this piece. So I plug in -1 to my x squared. So f of -1 equals 1. When I find f of 0, that's this. And f of 0 equals 1. And for 2, I plug in 2. This goes into this piece because 2 is greater than 0. And so f of 2 is just the square root of 2. Okay? And what we're going to do is have probably 8 of these. And we're going to do all of this to each one. So we're going to graph this. The first piece we're going to graph is this one right here. So we're going -2 to 0. So all you're doing is you're plugging f of -2, and f of -2 is 4. So that's -2, comma 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and they can equal it. Then we're going to plug in f of -1, and f of -1 is 1. So I put my 1 here. And we still have to use the 0 here. Don't stop. You go to 0. So f of 0 would be 0. Now it can't equal 0, so you leave an open circle here. Now it's x squared, and you should know what this looks like. So it's a bit curvy, and there it is, and it stops there. All right, now we're going to go back to 0 here. This is our second piece, and at 0 it equals 1. That's a point. So we have an open circle here, but closed circle here, because that's where it equals. So that's this piece. Now the third piece is we want to graph everything above 0 or above. It can't equal 0, but we still have to plug in 0. So we're going to start here, and it's going to be an open circle again. Then what I'm going to choose is 4, or I can choose 1. So 1's going to go to 1 here. So f of 1, because the square root of 1 is 1. All right? Then I'm going to go to 4, because I know what the square root of 4 is. 1, 2, 3, 4. The square root of 4 is 2. And I'll go ahead and go to 9. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So there it is. Okay? Now we already know our domain. We're going from -2 to infinity here. My range is we're starting at 0, but it can't equal 0. So my range is 0 to infinity. Because basically I could do the square root of 144, go to 12. I can keep going on and on. And we already did our other function notation. Any intercepts? Yes, there's there's no x-intercepts, but we do have a y-intercept. So when x is 0, y is 1. Okay? Also for the range, if you want to write it, you could write it this way. Y, it's all real numbers such that y is in between 0 and infinity, but it doesn't equal 0. Okay? Now we're going to go a little faster on the other ones. We're going to still use our same things here on all of these. Okay. The next one. We are going from -4 for my domain to 0. So my domain is -4 to 0, or you can write it the other way. Oh, shoot. We need to know what f of -1, what is it, -1, f of 0, and f of 2 is. All right. So -1, we're going to plug into this piece because -1 is in between -4 and 0. So f of -1 is 1. 0, f of 0, we're going to plug into this piece. F of 0 equals 3. That's just a point. And f of 2 goes into this piece, so I plug in 2 because 2 is greater than 0. So 2 squared is 4. So we did the domain and the evaluating part. We need to graph it. So I'm going to go all the way from -4. Oh, I'm not going to have room here. So -4 to 0. So -4 goes to 16. So 16's way up here, and I didn't leave room there, so I'll just put it up there somewhere. -3 goes to 9, which is about here. I should have moved this. -2 goes to 4. -1 goes to 1. And 0 goes to 0, so we're going to do an open circle here. Let me do this. So we have a point here, 9, and I can't get to 16. So you just draw this, and we just know that we're stopping at 16 here. Okay, now I'm going to, at 0, we go to 3. So this, let me get this a little better. So at 0, it goes to 3, 1, 2, 3. And then greater than 0, so I'm still going to use my 0 and do an open circle here. 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 4, 3 goes to 9, and so forth. And this goes on continuously. So I'll just draw an arrow. I wish I'd written all this down here. Okay, anyway, our range is the same. Our range is 0 to infinity, and I have an intercept at 0, 3. There's no x-intercept. I just have a y-intercept here. Okay, the next one is here. My domain, I'm going from -3 to infinity. It can equal -3, going to infinity. And f of -1, I plug in -1 into this piece and I get 1. Absolute value of -1 is 1. F of 0 equals 3. And f of 2, I plug into this piece, and that equals 4. And so I just start with -3, -2, -1, 0, and then I go all the way to infinity over here. So when I plug in -3, the absolute value of -3 is 3. And that's where we stop right there. Absolute value of -2 is 2. 1, absolute value -1 is 1. And go ahead and do the 0, but at 0, it's open circle. Okay, so that was this piece. Now for the middle piece. When x is 0, y is 3. Okay, and then for the last piece, I still start at my 0, so we have the 0 here. 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. And you can continue on. 3 squared is 9, way up here. And that goes on and on to infinity. And there's your piece. Oh, we have to connect the dots here. Okay. So my range is the same as it was before. It's going to 0 to infinity. And I have one intercept at 0, 3. Okay, the next one. We have our domain. It's going from -2 to infinity. F of -1 equals -1. Because -1 cubed, we're doing this one, is -1. F of 0 is 3. And F of 2 is just 2. Because I'm plugging it in here. So 2 is greater than 0, and I plug it in there. Now I'm going to graph this. -2 goes to 8. Here we go again. I need to erase some of this. I'm going to do this one. -2 goes to 8. I think this is 8. -1 goes to 1. Wait. I messed up. Okay, so let's look. -2 goes to -8. Sorry about that. So let me go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's right here. -1 goes to -1. And 0 is 0. But it's open because it can't equal it. So it's that portion of your cubic function. Alright, so we did this piece. 0 goes to 2, gets mapped to 2. And then for this piece, we still 0. We plug in 0, and that's just 0. 1 goes to 1. It's just a straight line here. And we go all the way to infinity. So that's just your straight line here. Alright? Now looking at this, the range, we're starting at negative infinity down here. So the range is we go to negative infinity, and then we go to 0, and it can't equal 0. And then you unite it to 0 to infinity. Okay? Or you could say your range is all real numbers, but y cannot be 0. Because at 0, we have an open circle. And we have one intercept here. When x is 0, y is 3. That's this point right there. Okay, the next one, we have, I'm just going to go ahead and graph this. -4 goes to 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And then you just go down here, an open circle here. 0 goes to 2. And then this is the one we just graphed. So you have a, let me do it in red. Okay, and we stop here. So our domain, we're going, domain, we're going from -4 to infinity. My range is 0 to infinity. I have a y-intercept at 0, 2. And if you do f of -1, f of 0, and f of 2, f of -1 is 1, f of 0 is 2, and f of 2 is 2. Okay? Okay, next. We graph this one. -2 goes to 4. -1 goes to 1. 0 goes to 0, but it's open. 0 goes to 3. And then for this last piece, it's just 1. It's just a straight line. It's the absolute value function, so it's just a straight line here. And what I do here, we have to stop here. So that should be closed right there. So your domain is -2 to infinity. Your range is 0 to infinity. And your intercept is at 0, 3. And then you can plug in the others. Okay, let's go through a couple more. -1 goes to -1. And 0 goes to 0, but you can't equal it. So it's a little bit of a curve here. 0 goes to 4. When I say goes to 4, I mean maps to 4. Let me do that in a different color here. And then for this last piece, 0 goes to 0. 1 goes to 1. 2 goes to 4. And so it's just that half of the quadratic here. Now your domain is -1 to infinity. Your range, we're starting at -1, and then we go to 0, then we have to stop because it's open. So then we unite it with 0 to infinity. And then you can do the others. We're going to do one more. Oh, that's it. So let's go ahead and do f of -1, f of 0, and f of 2. F of -1 is -1. F of 0 is 4. F of 2 is 4. And intercepts, we just have one intercept here at 0, 4. Okay. So if you know your parent functions, this is pretty easy. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.